Alright, now it's time to get this cleared out and get to where I can weld on the floor. And there's this sound deadening, vibration dampening rubber mat kind of thing stuck down, and it's pretty hard stuff. It's pretty well stuck there, and I've been kind of chipping away at it, but I found that the best way to get that up, for me anyway, is to give it a little bit of heat. And I'm just going over it a little bit, just kind of until I see this top start to char. You don't really want it hot enough where it's smoking or catching fire, but just good and warm. And then this cuts right through it, real nice. Comes up nice and easy. Well, it's hard to do with one hand, and it's kind of getting a little cool, but yeah, that works pretty good, I think. I've marked out where I want to cut. I think I'm going to do it in 2 pieces. Well, that's enough of that one hand. I just had an idea about getting this pattern, and I haven't tried this before, but I stuck a bunch of tape on here, kind of in the shape I want it to be. Then I went from the top side and traced it with a magic or a permanent marker. And look at that. Now we have a nice template. I got the excess trimmed off my little template here, and I've got it stuck to this piece of sheet metal. Yeah, it's a piece of 16 gauge that I've had laying around. I also cleaned this up a little bit at all costs to give it the best opportunity to stick that it could, being that it was kind of a little bit of rust stuck to it when I pulled it off the Jeep. Of course, it needs to be bent now to match all the contours of this floor. And here's the patch all welded in place and painted over. I've got 2 coats on there of the Rust-Oleum paint. Trying that out, seeing how that works. Now I'm gonna cut the notch out of the end of this rocker panel. And what I've done is I've taken some cardboard, I put that up in place right here, and just made the transfer. Put a front cap on this rocker and a little bit of paint. With that, this one is done, ready to be welded in place. Now I put some paint on it because I wanted it to be protected, where it's going to be closed off inside the little cavity below right below the doors. I had some help last night and I got this tacked into place. I'm pretty happy with the way it fits up in there. I had started tacking it like this every 4 inches, but then I decided it'd be better to just kind of roll this edge right over. So I started tacking it like this, and I'm much happier with that. I think I'm gonna cut those tacks with a cutting disc, and I'm gonna do this rolled edge all the way down because I think that looks really good. I did end up welding this solid all the way across, and I've got a coat of paint on it. I think it turned out fairly well, just the underside anyway. But I think that'll be good and strong. I don't think I'll have to worry about it rotting anytime soon. I may take a piece of sheet metal and tack it here over this hole and try to bend that over as well. I don't know. I'm gonna move on for now. I also went ahead and I welded all the way across up here. I thought I was originally just gonna tack it, but I kind of went all out and just welded it all up. Next on my list, I think I'm going to tackle this area up front here, and I think I'm going to start by nipping this all out. This doesn't really need to be here. I've taken a few days to think about how I want to go about fixing this hole here in the wheel well, and I'm not sure if I made it really clear, but that hole goes through this wheel well and through the firewall. And here we're looking right up into the cab. There's the dash, the wiring harness and the dash. So that's not good. Got the front seats and the console out, resting in the back here. And I only broke one bolt in the back per side. So I have to take those two out. Hopefully I can get to them right easy from the bottom. Okay, I got the dash all out, and there is nothing fun about that job. And that took me about 2 nights after work. But now, if I zoom in on it, you can see a real clear shot to the affected area. Yeah, everything's all cleared out of the way here. I've got all the wiring harness tucked up here in the corner and tied in place. I'm gonna have to find some tin to shove between the lines right down here in this piece of sheet metal. I think what I want to do is get the sandblaster out and clean this up, because I'm not sure exactly how bad this area is going to be. And here on the inside we can see what it's looking like. I'm going to have to get the dimensions of this plug here before I go cutting anything out. That way there I know how to reproduce it. I've got my patch all made and screwed in place with some self-tappers. And I'm going to take this out and clean it up and put some weld-through primer on the surfaces that are going to be lapped together. And I also need to finish cutting this hole here for the wiring harness, and I also need to use a hole saw to poke a hole right to the right of that self-tapper right there. I pushed this outside today and I got everything all sandblasted, and I also sandblasted up inside the wheel well, well, the top of the wheel well from the engine bay here. And one thing I can say about this paint that I'm using, it's this, and it is very, very thin. I haven't used this before, but I decided to give it a go on this project. It's cheap, but I don't think I'm going to use it again. And what I mean by it's thin is it runs very easy. This stuff you can put on nice and thick and no runs. Well, within reasonable limits. Well, a few weeks later, and this is the patch that I've made up. I've got some copper weld-through primer sprayed on here and around the areas that I'm going to be spot welding it to. And this patch is by no means perfect, but I think it's good enough to start putting some welds on it. And there it is, all welded in, primed up. And I have this rotted section cut out, and I've got my weld-through primer on both sides here. Got a patch made up. I used another piece of sheet metal and a hammer with a square head, and I just kind of beat on it to offset the thickness of the sheet metal. I'll slide right up in there and I'll just get that all tacked up. Got everything all primed up and all set and ready for seam sealer. Guess I could have ground that a little better, but it's okay. I'm going to seam seal over all my joints anyway, or butt welds, whatever. I think it came out pretty decent. This line right here is a little peaked right here. That transition between these two didn't happen the way it was supposed to, but really doesn't matter. I would have rather have done a butt weld here, just because, well, that was one piece originally. There wasn't a seam like that, but there's one more little patch down here, and then the driver's side would really be done. This is just a piece of scrap I started playing with while I was waiting for paint to dry. I could do more coats. But, yeah, I'm thinking I might cut out where it's all kind of rotten. Well, this isn't rotten, but it was, you know, pretty well pitted. I might cut like from the spot weld down, so that way there, when I go to weld to it, it won't be kind of punky. It won't be thin spots and thick spots.